Okay, so to clarify, Israel blocks Cardinal Pizzaballa, the Catholic patriarch of Jerusalem, from entering the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, marking the first time in centuries, that Palm Sunday wasn't celebrated at Christianity's holiest site. This is an outrage, and it's not just a red flag for Catholics, but for people of faith everywhere. Because what right does Israel have to ban Christians from observing their holy days in the Holy Land? Now, Pope Leo has yet to say anything legit or meaningful against Israeli aggression, not even after they bombed the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza last year, which, of course, is weird, but okay, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's just getting his sea legs as Pope, or maybe he's trying to diffuse the situation, or maybe he's just a scaredy cat.
Be brave.
Whatever. However, you would think that banning Palm Sunday in Israel would have finally gotten him to step up and do his damn job. But no.
All'inizio della Settimana Santa siamo più che mai vicini con la preghiera ai cristiani del Medio Oriente che soffrono le conseguenze di un conflitto atroce e in molti casi non possono vivere pienamente i riti di questi giorni santi. Proprio mentre la Chiesa contempla il mistero della passione del Signore, non possiamo dimenticare quanti oggi partecipano in modo reale alla sua sofferenza. La loro prova interpella la coscienza di tutti. Eleviamo la nostra supplica al Principe della Pace affinché sostenga i popoli feriti dalla guerra e apra cammini concreti di riconciliazione e di pace. Questo è il nostro Dio, Gesù, Re della pace, un Dio che rifiuta la guerra, che nessuno può usare per giustificare la guerra, che non ascolta la preghiera di chi fa la guerra.
What is this? Platitudes? Are you kidding me? Look, no offense, Your Holiness, but that ship sailed a long time ago. It's hitting the fan, and this limp response makes you look complicit. You're obviously talking about Netanyahu, Hegseth, and the lunatic Christian Zionist fringe, so why won't you call them out by name? Israel, Zionists, Whiskey Pete, all of them. Because I have zero doubt that that's exactly what Pope Pizzaballa would have done. I bet he would have made these clowns an offer that they couldn't refuse.
Is there something you want to say to me?
I said it before, and I'll say it till it happens. Pizzaballa's the Pope we need for two very good reasons. Number one, he's Italian, and it's the Roman Catholic Church. Get it? I mean, it's right there in the name. Roman. The Roman Catholic Church has strayed way too far from its origins by putting the entire UN confederacy of popes in power, and that's part of the problem. Pizzaballa has Catholicism in his blood.
900 Jews held their own against 15,000 Roman soldiers. They chose death before enslavement. And the Romans, where are they now?
You're looking at a mess.
Making him Pope would return the church to her roots. No more monkey business. And number two, he has experience in the Middle East, in Israel. He knows who these people are and how they operate. He speaks Arabic, Hebrew, Italian, English. He says Mass in Latin. I mean, this guy's got swag. He's the Patriarch Archbishop of Jerusalem, meaning he has an edge, the first-hand experience necessary to deal with these people, because he knows what's up. Netanyahu then claimed that, he meant no malice and that he was only trying to protect the faithful, but give me a break. Israel is no friend to Christians. We all know that by now. And if this claim had come from literally anyone else, I might have believed it. But from Netanyahu, the war criminal? Not so much. The bigger issue is what's up with this Pope. With over 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide looking to him for guidance, he offers what? Empty words? He could have and should have stepped up with 3 simple calls to action that would have put a massive dent in Israel's ploy to take over the Middle East. What are they? Let's get into it. Look, I'm no expert, but to me, in my opinion, Leo's speech was shallow and weak for one very good reason: no consequences. A leader's words mean nothing if there aren't any consequences for not following the rules. Boilerplate cliches that God won't listen to the prayers of war criminals doesn't cut it because these people don't believe in God. What he should have said is that Catholics won't listen either. If Pope Leo was truly a man of peace, he would have given Catholics 3 clear calls to action. Number 1, a call to Catholic military service members to stand down. According to the DoD, there are roughly between 260,000 to 325,000 Catholic active duty personnel in the U.S. And that's just the U.S. Had Pope Leo called on Catholics in the armed forces to stand down, the ripple effect would have made a serious dent in fighting capacity.
We are here to say to all those serving in the Army and the Marines and the Air Force and the Navy that you have the absolute right to refuse to take part in these criminal wars, and that's the right that all of you should exercise. You have no reason to go put your life on the line and kill and die for profit. We've been to Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, and we know what these wars are really about. And we joined the military for many reasons. Because we need a college education, because we need a job, because we need health care. And then we joined the military, and they tell us that our enemies are poor people in caves in Afghanistan, or poor people in the deserts of Iraq. But we've been to those countries, and we know that our enemies are not other poor people abroad. Our enemies are the people that laid us off from our jobs, that denied us health care, that make it impossible to get an education. Our enemies are not in the poorest countries on the planet, but right here in the richest one.
Now, does this require sacrifice? Yeah, but so what? Christ made sacrifices. Now it's your turn. Number 2, a call on Catholic political leaders to stand against this war and to make their voices heard. Out of 535 members serving in the U.S. Congress, 150 of them are Catholics. Think about that. 150 silent Catholics taking AIPAC money while the world burns. But maybe, just maybe, if the Pope had shown some spine and called them to do the same, they would have. Does this require sacrifice? Again, yes, but so what? Christ made sacrifices, and now it's your turn. And number 3, a call on Catholics to sell their stocks in defense firms en masse. Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin are just a few of the companies benefiting from the war in Iran that basically benefit from every war, everywhere. But what if Catholics started dumping the stock? It wouldn't tank these companies overnight, but don't fool yourself. It would hit the bottom line. Does this require sacrifice? Yes, but so what? Christ made sacrifices, and now it's your turn. While researching what could possibly be motivating Pope Leo to punk out, I came upon this.
We're talking about the elected Pope, Pope Leo XIV. Previously, Pope Francis. The insinuation here is that we've had not just one Pope, but 2 popes participated in a Pachamama ritual. It says the celebration of the rite of the Pachamama, parentheses, Mother Earth, Madre Tierra, which is a agricultural rite. Everybody is in a circle. There's something in the middle. Here it looks like a beer bottle or a wine bottle. And you get down on all knees with your face on the ground in the circle. Within South American theology, there is a trend of eco-theology. In fact, these pictures come from a book called Eco-Theology, published by the Augustinians. There is a liberation theology, which comes from Peru, which is where Prevost was a missionary. There's also this Pachamama theology, right? It wasn't just a one-off in 2019 at the Vatican. That what we saw at the Vatican is something that has been baking in the oven for decades. That you can bring together Catholic priests, Catholic people, and then you can have indigenous spirit leaders lead a ritual. Remember, that's the word in the Augustinian book, not the cultural experience, right? If we're celebrating Italian heritage or Irish American heritage, right? We don't call that a ritual. Rituals are cultic. Rituals have to do with sacrifice and adoration and worship. We Catholics who aren't South Americans now having the question of how common is this? We had an Argentinian pope who brought it to the Vatican Gardens. He brought it to the Vatican. I'll show you a picture. He put it right in front of the tomb of St. Peter. He also put a Pachamama earthenware vessel on the high altar during the Amazonian Synod. We were like, what is this? What's going on? Well, now we turn back the pages and we find that our current pope, Pope Leo, seems to, in the pictures, he's part of the circle, right, around the Pachamama ritual, seems to be participating. Maybe he's not. And we need to remember that God gave us 10 commandments. And in God's eternal prudence and his wisdom, commandment number 1, top of the list.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
We are monotheists, and we worship one God. The Psalms say, Psalm 95, all the gods of the nations are demons.
Yeah, you see, that's paganism. And like Zionism, it has no place in Christianity or the Catholic Church. To be clear, Christian Zionism is an oxymoron. And if you're a Christian Zionist, you're in a cult. You've replaced Christ with your AIPAC-funded pastors, and some of you are too dense to see it.
Israel called this military action Operation Roaring Lion, an absolute match for what's in the Word of God.
And I don't want to disparage anyone. However, I can't help but notice that most Christian Zionists speak like this, and they still support Trump, although they can't even tell you why.
Why? When did you decide he was such a good man?
2016. I liked his words, and I like he did everything he said he was going to do, and he did it.
What are some of those things that he said and then he did?
I would have got down on one knee.
Give you just one thing. One thing he said and then he did.
He caught me off guard there.
Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about.
I love the poorly educated.
You know, it's funny because they're so keen on looking down on extremist Muslims, but they're just like them. They're just playing for a different team. In confession on Monday, I had a slight tiff with the priest. I told him I don't mean to offend God, but I have had it with Israel and that whole cabal. He responded to keep in mind that if I can't forgive, then I can't be forgiven. So I'll tell you what I told him. I'm not the center of the universe, and neither are you. If you could save one innocent from an atrocity, but refuse to act because you're worried about being forgiven, I'm pretty sure that's the darkest sin of all. Christ made this crystal clear in the parable of the talents, and if you haven't read it, do. God's given each one of us a duty and the skills to fulfill it. So you're expected to, because someday we'll all have to account for what we did with what we were given. And waiting on the Lord to come back and do it for us has some very dire consequences. Christ did more than enough. Now it's our turn. We sat in silence for like a minute, and then that was that. You know, it's occurred to me that maybe Pope Leo is the church's last try at a moderate pope. Their Hail Mary pass before admitting that it's time for real leadership in the church if we're going to put these clowns in their place. They've been allowed to run things with impunity for way too long. And if we're going to overcome this, it's going to take some courage. And yes, some sacrifice. But most of all, a leader who's not afraid to do his damn job. See you on the next vid.